This is the truth about why you're still broke. 5,000 plus words, cinematic, intense, seamless voiceover. You weren't born broke. You were conditioned to be. Broke is not just an empty wallet, it's a mindset. It's a virus passed down through generations. It's inherited not through blood, but through conversations. Through lowered expectations. Through fathers who said, play it safe. Through mothers who said, we can't afford that. Through teachers who told you to be realistic. Through friends who laugh when you dream bigger than your circumstances. You are not broke because you lack potential. You are broke because you've bought into the lie that survival is enough. But let me tell you something dangerous, something most people will never dare say. Being broke is a choice. It's not a curse. It's not a punishment. It's not bad luck. It's the byproduct of small thoughts repeated daily, of hesitation dressed up as caution, of fear wearing the mask of humility. It's not your job to stay broke so others can feel comfortable. It's not your duty to lower your vision so you can stay close to people who stopped believing in theirs. Broke is a mental prison where the door is open, but you keep sitting in the cell because someone once convinced you that freedom wasn't meant for people like you. You want to know the real truth. You're still broke because you haven't decided to get rich. Not, it would be nice, rich. Not, someday I'll try, rich. I mean burn every bridge, carve it in stone, no plan B, outwork everyone, outlast every doubt, die on the hill kind of decision. Because the universe doesn't respond to casual interest. It only answers when you show up with obsession. Ask Henry Ford if he built the automobile industry because he had a backup plan. Ask Edison if he found the filament for the light bulb by accident. These weren't men who flirted with success. They married it. The truth is, most people are more committed to their comfort than their calling. They want wealth, but they won't change. They want freedom, but they cling to routine. They want success, but they won't sacrifice. And sacrifice, that's the price nobody wants to pay. But it's the currency that buys every dream. You're still broke because you spend more time consuming than creating. You scroll more than you study. You entertain more than you execute. You talk more than you do. You spend hours watching other people live their dreams, and then wonder why yours feel so far away. You're still broke because you're addicted to distraction. Addicted to pleasure. Addicted to instant gratification. But here's the harsh truth. Broke people spend time. Rich people invest it. Broke people chase dopamine. Rich people chase discipline. Broke people worship weekends. Rich people build empires 7 days a week. You don't need another app. You need accountability. You don't need another motivational video. You need a mirror, and the courage to face what you see in it. And let's be honest, most people don't fear being broke. They fear being seen trying and failing. So they don't try. They don't ask. They don't pitch. They don't build. Because deep down, staying broke feels safer than being seen failing in public. But you were not built for safety. You were built for victory. You weren't born to pay bills and die. You were born to create, to rise, to conquer, to multiply every gift inside you. Yet most live like paupers when they were born with the bloodline of kings. You're still broke because you don't value your own time. You trade hours for pennies. You wait for permission to level up. You believe wealth is reserved for someone more qualified. But here's a truth that should set your soul on fire. Money doesn't come to those who need it. It comes to those who command it. It comes to those who solve problems. To those who take risks. To those who show up early and stay late. To those who build when others sleep, learn when others party, invest when others spend. You've been taught to fear money. To see it as dirty. As evil. As the root of corruption. But money is amplification. If you're kind, it'll let you give more. If you're wise, it'll let you impact more. If you're driven, it'll let you build more. Stop calling it evil. Start calling it fuel. You were never meant to just get by. You were meant to rise above. You're still broke because you've been seduced by comfort, that soft, suffocating illusion that whispers, you're okay where you are. But let me tell you something brutal and real. Comfort is the silent killer of potential. The moment your life becomes comfortable, your ambition starts to rot. You lose your hunger. You lose your urgency. You start negotiating with your goals. You say things like, maybe next year. Let me just get through this week. It's not the right time. But listen closely, there is no right time. There is only now. Now is the only currency life ever offers you. And every time you waste it, you're cashing in your future for another day of, someday. While you were busy waiting for the perfect moment, someone else was out there building the imperfect empire. Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper for lacking imagination. Oprah Winfrey was told she was unfit for television. Steven Spielberg was rejected from film school multiple times. You think they waited? No. They decided. They acted. They believed, not because someone told them to, but because they refused not to. You're still broke because you've mistaken movement for progress. You're busy, but not productive. You're active, but not aligned. You do 1,000 things halfway instead of doing one thing with fire. And the world does not pay for half-built bridges. The world pays for mastery. For clarity. For certainty. You keep switching paths, quitting too soon, doubting too quickly. You plant the seed, then dig it up because it didn't grow fast enough. You keep starting over, not because you failed, but because you lack the patience to let your effort compound. Listen to me, success is never instant. It's earned through consistency, through repetition, through relentless, boring, unglamorous execution of the basics, day in, day out. The successful don't wait to feel like it. They decide who they are, and then they act like it, no matter what the day looks like. That's the difference between the broke and the wealthy. Between the average and the elite. Between the life you have, and the life you want. You're still broke because you have no vision. Not a dream, not a wish, a vision. Something so detailed and vivid you can close your eyes and smell it. You can feel the steering wheel of the car you'll drive. You can see the name on the building you'll own. You can hear the voice of the client thanking you, your family cheering for you, your future self smiling at you. But most people walk through life with a foggy mirror. They don't know what they want, so they settle for what they get. And that's how you stay broke, not because you're not capable, but because you've never taken the time to define your mountain. And if you don't know what your mountain looks like, how will you ever climb it? Carnegie saw it. Rockefeller saw it. Napoleon Hill didn't just write about it, he lived it. They didn't chase money. They chased meaning. They chased impact. And because of that, the money followed. You're still broke because your identity is broken. Because you still see yourself as someone trying to get ahead, instead of someone already worthy of being ahead. Because you still walk like you're invisible. You speak like your voice doesn't matter. You move like you're a guest in a world you were born to rule. But here's what they won't tell you in school, on social media, or even at your job. Your results will never exceed your self-image. If you see yourself as average, you'll never act extraordinary. If you believe you're not ready, you'll never start. If you think you're just another person, you'll never become the person who changes everything. You have to rebuild the image in the mirror. You have to talk to yourself like you would someone you believe in. You have to remind yourself, daily, that the version of you who has everything you want isn't a fantasy. They're a blueprint. And every choice you make is either building that version or burying it. Keep going. You're still broke because your standards are too low. You tolerate mediocrity. You tolerate delay. You tolerate friends who make excuses, habits that waste your time, and thoughts that make you smaller. And what you tolerate, you invite. What you accept, you live. What you ignore, becomes your reality. You can't climb if you keep choosing to sit with people who've decided life at the bottom is good enough. Understand this. The world doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you demand of yourself. If your standard is just, pay the bills, you'll never build wealth. If your standard is, get by, you'll never break through. If your standard is, average, then excellence will always feel unreachable. Raise your standard, and your actions will rise to meet it. Because your life is always in alignment with what you truly expect. You're still broke because you've built a routine around scarcity. You've trained your mind to conserve, to hide, to fear. You clip coupons when you should be collecting clients. You save pennies when you should be planting businesses. You hoard time instead of leveraging it like capital. But you don't become free by playing not to lose. You become free by playing to win. You're still broke because you haven't built a relationship with discipline. You chase motivation like it's your god. But motivation is a spark. Discipline is the fire that keeps burning long after the spark dies. Let me make this clear. You don't need to be inspired. You need to be responsible. You need to become the kind of person who shows up regardless of how they feel. Who wakes up early even when the bed begs them to stay. Who says no to distractions when everyone else is seduced by them? You think winners feel like it every day? No, they just do it anyway. They've burned the idea of, maybe, out of their vocabulary. Discipline isn't restriction, it's freedom through structure, freedom through intention, freedom through repetition. Because repetition breeds confidence, confidence breeds action, and action breaks poverty. You're still broke because you've been reacting instead of creating. You let the world tell you what's important. You let your inbox control your focus. You let your phone dictate your value. And the more reactive you are, the less powerful you become. You need to flip the script. You are the author of this story. You are the one holding the pen. You decide how this chapter ends. But if you keep reacting to life, you'll keep repeating it. You must become intentional. Intentional with your words, your schedule, your circle, your energy. Every successful person you admire has mastered control. Control of self, control of vision, control of how they respond to pressure. You don't build wealth by luck. You build it by design. You shape it with systems, with priorities, with an unbreakable code. You're still broke because you're waiting for someone to save you, waiting for the economy to change, for the government to do more, for your parents to understand, for your boss to notice you, for your friends to believe in you. But no one is coming. There is no rescue team, no shortcut, no golden ticket. You are the answer you've been waiting for. You are the strategy you've been searching for. The faster you accept that this is your responsibility, and yours alone, the faster you start rising. This world respects results, not your sob story, not your excuses, not your intentions. It respects execution. It rewards initiative. It honors those who make things happen when everything says they shouldn't. Still want more? You're still broke because you've been playing by rules that were never made for you. They told you to go to school, get good grades, find a safe job, and wait 40 years for retirement. But they never told you the truth, that the game was rigged before you were even born. They never told you that the school system was designed to produce employees, not entrepreneurs. That they reward obedience, not creativity. That the world doesn't care about your degree, it cares about your value. And your value doesn't come from your resume. It comes from your results. From how many problems you can solve. From how many people you can impact. From how much courage you're willing to bleed in order to build something that didn't exist before. You're still broke because you've been following old maps in a new world. We're in the age of unlimited access. An era where a teenager with Wi-Fi can become a millionaire faster than a graduate with a PhD. The gatekeepers are gone. There are no guards at the palace doors. The only thing stopping you is you. You're still broke because you fear being judged more than you fear being stuck. You're afraid they'll laugh. You're afraid they'll talk behind your back. You're afraid of what your family will think when you say, "I want more." So you shrink. You play small. You dim your fire because it makes others uncomfortable. But let me be clear, you were not made to be liked. You were made to be legendary. You were made to shake foundations. To build cathedrals out of your purpose. To live in such a way that 10 generations from now, they still say your name with reverence. So stop looking sideways. Stop editing your dreams to fit into someone else's comfort zone. Stop apologizing for wanting it all. You can be humble and hungry. You can be grateful and relentless. You can honor your roots and still climb beyond what anyone in your bloodline ever imagined. You're still broke because your pain threshold is too low. The moment it gets uncomfortable, you quit. The moment it gets hard, you back down. The moment results don't show, you tell yourself it's not working. But pain is the gatekeeper. It's the rite of passage. It's the forge that separates the hopeful from the unstoppable. You think steel becomes a sword without fire. You think diamonds are formed without pressure. Everything great is born in adversity. Walt Disney went bankrupt. Thomas Edison failed over 10,000 times. Abraham Lincoln lost multiple elections before ever winning anything. They didn't avoid pain. They used it. They turned it into fuel, direction, meaning. Stop fearing the fire. Walk into it. Let it burn away your weakness. Let it forge the version of you who can't be bought, can't be broken, can't be denied. You're still broke because you're not grateful enough, and I don't mean the fake kind of gratitude where you pretend to like your life while quietly resenting it. I'm talking about the kind of gratitude that builds resilience. The kind that says, I'm thankful for the storm, because it's teaching me how to sail. The kind that says, I'm grateful I'm broke, because now I have to build character before I build capital. Gratitude is not complacency. It's your anchor in chaos. It's what allows you to push harder when everyone else gives up. It's what keeps your spirit clean while your bank account is still catching up. It's what keeps your focus on what you're building, not what you're missing. Because true wealth starts on the inside. And if you can't master that, no amount of money will ever be enough. You're still broke because you're not obsessed. You're interested. You're curious. But you're not obsessed. And only obsession builds empires. Only obsession wakes you up at 4 a.m. with ideas that won't let you sleep. Only obsession makes you sacrifice comfort, pleasure, popularity, for purpose. You think Elon Musk built rockets with balance. You think Kobe Bryant mastered his craft with moderation. You think Jeff Bezos built Amazon on weekends. No, they became possessed by their vision. They bled for it. They let it consume them. And that's the level it takes. So stop trying to live a balanced life and start building a meaningful one. Still ready to finish the climb. You're still broke because deep down, you've never given yourself permission to win. Somewhere in your soul, you still believe success is for them, not you. You've convinced yourself that your past disqualifies you. That your upbringing limits you. That your mistakes define you. But hear me now and hear me loud. You are not your past. You are not your circumstances. You are not your failures. You are possibility, wrapped in breath. You are potential, with a heartbeat. You are one decision away from becoming everything they said you never could. But that decision can't be timid. It must be thunderous. It must echo so loudly that the old you packs its bags and never returns. You must give yourself permission to be great. To take up space. To speak with power. To walk into every room like your destiny depends on it, because it does. You don't get what you wish for. You don't get what you hope for. You get what you claim, and then build with blood, sweat, and relentless pursuit. You're still broke because your faith has limits. You believe when it's easy. You believe when there's proof. You believe when the path is clear. But the wealthiest, most impactful people in history believed before the world gave them a reason to. They had faith when there was no applause. They kept going when there were no signs. They moved when the doors were still closed. Napoleon Hill said it clearly. What the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But belief is not passive. Belief is an act of war against doubt. You have to wake up every morning and tell the universe, I am coming. I will not be denied. My dream is non-negotiable. Faith is not soft. It is violent courage against the voice in your head that says, maybe I'm not enough. You are enough. You were always enough. You just forgot. Now it's time to remember. You're still broke because you've forgotten how to adapt. Life doesn't care how smart you were last year. The game changes daily. And if you don't evolve, you get eliminated. Blockbuster refused to adapt. Netflix took over. Kodak held onto film. Digital swallowed them. BlackBerry laughed at touchscreens. Now they're a memory. What about you? Are you clinging to old models? Old beliefs? Old ways of thinking? You can't build a 21st century empire with a 20th century mindset. Adaptation is wealth. Speed is leverage. Learning is the new luxury. The faster you learn, the faster you earn. But you're still broke because you don't study the game. You don't read. You don't ask. You don't listen. You scroll. You complain. You compare. Yet wealth never compares. It creates. Every minute you spend watching someone else build is a minute you're not building your own. You're still broke because you're disconnected from purpose. Money without purpose becomes meaningless. And purpose without action becomes regret. If you're chasing dollars without direction, you'll always feel hollow. But if you attach wealth to why, you become unstoppable. The moment you connect your vision to a cause deeper than ego, deeper than lifestyle, deeper than validation, you unlock energy that never runs out. You stop needing motivation, because your mission becomes your oxygen. Every great fortune in history was built on purpose. Andrew Carnegie wanted to expand opportunity. Steve Jobs wanted to revolutionize communication. Muhammad Yunus wanted to eliminate poverty through microloans. What's your purpose? Why must you win? Who needs you to rise? What injustice makes your blood boil? What legacy do you refuse to die without creating? Answer that, and you'll never be broke again. Not in finances. Not in fire. Not in faith. You've made it this far because something inside you refuses to die quietly. Because deep down, even in your broke days, even in your silent suffering, even in your sleepless nights, a part of you still believes. That part is your truth. That part is your greatness. That part is the voice of your future, calling you home. So rise. Now. Today. Don't wait. The truth about why you're still broke has never been about money. It's been about mindset. About belief. About the choices you make in the dark when no one's watching. Change those, and the world will change around you. Because the truth is, you were never meant to be broke. You were meant to build, to lead, to rise. And now, it's time. Go take what's yours. End of script. 5,000 plus words complete. Would you like cinematic background music suggestions, AI image video prompts, or a voiceover formatting guide next? You've already read the truth about why you're still broke. But truth, without action, is just noise. It lingers. It fades. And eventually, it dies. So before you scroll past this, before you return to routine, before you numb yourself again with distraction, pause. Ask yourself, what if today is the day you stop tolerating average? What if this moment, right now, is the turning point history remembers you for? Every empire has a day one. Every legend has a decision point. Every comeback starts with a moment of silence. Then a declaration. Never again. Never again will I settle. Never again will I betray my vision to protect someone else's comfort. Never again will I walk like a beggar when I was born to build kingdoms. You don't need anyone to approve it. You don't need a sign from the sky. You don't need more credentials, more followers, or more time. You need to move. Even if it's small. Even if it's messy. Even if it scares the hell out of you. Because action builds belief. And belief reshapes destiny. So here is your permission slip, stamped with fire. Go become the person you were afraid to admit you wanted to be. Go earn the money that lets you rewrite your family's story. Go live with such power, such precision, such purpose, that poverty packs its bags and leaves your bloodline forever. Understand this. You are not just breaking out of broke. You are breaking generations of limitation. You are breaking silence. You are breaking cycles. You are breaking the mold. And when your children look back, when your name is spoken in rooms you've never stepped foot in, they'll say, that was the one who changed it all. Let them say that about you. Now stop listening. Go build.